Hi everyone, welcome to New Bear. Today we're going to make a small motif using overlapping rings. You're going to need a shuttle with a fair bit of thread on it. This motif is made up of rings only, and as we know, rings are thread eaters, so make sure you've got fairly full shuttle before we start. I've drawn out a schematic. This one's actually quite tricky to draw. There's a lot going on in here, so I've separated the rings out. Excuse my little ink dots down the page. I think my printer's running out of toner. So these rings, we have 8 picot 2, picot 2, picot 2, picot 2, picot 8. Our first and last picots are joining picots, so keep them reasonably small. You can make your decorative picots whatever size you wish. For this ring here we have 8, and then we have a join. Now I realise I've used a symbol that indicates it's a picot. It was a bit tricky to work out what to put in there, so it's not a picot, this is a join, and then we're doing 8 on the other side, but we will run through all of that as we work this together. So to start, we're going to leave a fairly decent tail and work our ring of 8 picot 2, picot 2, picot 2, picot 2, picot 8. Getting ready for our next ring, we don't reverse our work. I forgot to mention that before. This whole motif is worked from the front side. So now we're working 8. Normally when we're making the first stitch of our next ring, we want that first stitch to sit up nice and close to the previous ring, but I'm going to leave a very small gap. It's literally a mil or so, just enough so that the ring has room to sit on top, and that'll make sense in a second. We're ready to join back to our first ring. We're making a down join, and that's important because the type of join we make is how we get the rings to overlap and sit either on the top or underneath. So lay your thread over the top of your picot, come up through the bottom of the picot with your crochet hook and pull that thread down. Pass your shuttle through the loop going from the top through to the bottom. Don't get your finger stuck. And pull everything into place. So the beginning of your ring is likely to sit better if you let it sit on top of the first ring. And that's okay, that is exactly what we want it to do. Now we finish out our count of 8 on the other side. After completing that ring, remember we're not reversing our work, we are setting up for the next ring. We're working 8, remember to leave that very small little gap there. we're ready to join. We're joining back to the same picot that we used before. This time we're making an up join. So we're using this picot in here. Go down through the picot, pull up a loop, and your shuttle is coming up through that loop. Wiggle and adjust. Your ring is going to want to go underneath your last ring. And we are finishing out our ring with 2 picot 2 picot 2 picot 2 picot 8. Now we simply repeat that process all the way around until we have 7 full sets. So a set is a large ring with a smaller ring on the top. So from here we're working 8, we're joining to this picot with a down join, then working another 8. The following ring will be 8, joining through the same picot with an up join, and then finishing out the ring with your decorative picots, a joining picot and the 8. Start of the 8th ring. So we have our 7 sets. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. I've started the 8th set. Our final ring is a little different in that we need to join to the previous ring, but we also want to join back to our first ring. We are going to use a folded join to do this. We want our picot to be up here. So take the base of your motif and fold it up so that this picot is sitting opposite your thread. Bring your hook up through the picot, reach over, grab your thread and pull that through your picot. Pass your shuttle through, wriggle and adjust, and finish out with 8. Before completely closing that ring, I'm going to pass my shuttle through the middle of the motif. I'm taking it through to the front just because it's a little easier to get it through while that ring is still open a little bit. And now I'm going to continue to close my ring. For our last ring, I'm going to fold my motif in half just because it's easier for me to work like that. Get rid of that tail. We're working 8. We're joining back up in here. So that's the same as we were doing before, going through the same picot, make a down join. Oops. And finish with 8. Close our ring. Cut your threads, take your tails through to the back. And we are going to tie a square knot. So right over left, and left over right. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.